Hello, legendary listeners, and welcome to a very special Legends of Tomorrow podcast episode. This is not the episode we wanted to do, but we are here because the Legends of Tomorrow has been canceled. And we are heartbroken and also not thrilled and also sad and kind of angry. So we are here to have a grief session, but we're also live. So we're going to be posting this on our main page. However, we have listeners and fans on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Instagram. We're also on video. Hello, I got bangs.
I know. I was going to say that right as we hopped on. I was like, Amy's bangs, are those new?
They are new. I got them on
color?
Monday.
Did you get some color as well?
That would be the ring light.
I was going to say it looks lighter. It's nice.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with them because apparently you have to train bangs, which I've never done before. But that is far beyond the I know. I've never had bangs. So today,
guys, the announcement is that it's not going to be, this podcast is not going to be about Legends Tomorrow anymore.
No.
It will be about Amy's bangs.
It's going to be
Amy's bangs.
The bang training podcast.
But we're here because this is what we do. I mean, the three of us, we got this news just a couple hours ago, and instantly all three of us were like, emergency session. We need to talk. We need to chat. We need to vent. And then also we're like, hey, let's get as many listeners as we can on board. So we've got a lot of our listeners who are Patreons. We've got a lot of first-time people who are joining us. We've got people who have come on for years. I'm gonna start crying.
Me and Morgan have already called that, so
you guys are
Amy
in for
is
it.
feeling emotions for both of us because we can't feel.
Yeah, me and Morgan are a bit numb to it all. I think one thing I'll say, I'm upset that the show's over. I'm upset that we're not going to get another season. And obviously, like, this show is kind of even bigger than just a show because we grew a friendship from this show. Literally, I just saw Morgan last weekend. We hung out, and I've made great friends through this. I think I'd be more upset, and this is, I guess, the announcement that we're not ending the podcast. So I think I'd be a lot more. I would be crying with Amy if we were ending the podcast. But I think we have a lot of things to talk about through the podcast. So that makes me not happy, but like I'm excited for our new chapter. Just like I hope that the crew and cast are happy for their next chapter as well. I mean, that doesn't mean I don't want to see more in maybe a comic or HBO Max or whatever. And we'll talk more about that as it goes on.
Dude,
but
7 seasons in a movie.
Yes.
Right. If Community can't do it, let Legends do it.
They'll pick up that banner for him.
Oh, please. So I guess, I mean, we don't really have a plan for this podcast. We are here to commiserate with each other. I think let's because the three of us
shouldn't say we don't have a plan.
We don't, but let's not say it out loud.
We have a very well documented plan. No. Let's talk about maybe the things that we're most frustrated about. About
work our way
why
through the stages of grief.
Yeah, let's go through the stages of grief. We haven't reached
anger.
acceptance yet. So, Morgan, you first. Like, what would you say you are most frustrated about not getting a renewal and not getting season 8?
It's just such a long, it's been on the CW for so long. It's been part of the Arrowverse for so long, and it feels very disrespectful to me that they wouldn't give them a final season, even if it was a short final season, even if they said
Flash has another season. And I heard from what it looked like on Twitter, Iris might be leaving that show. So are they going to have a show without Iris? And then we can get Legends of Tomorrow?
With all the cast who still want to be on the show.
I'm sorry. Genuine question. Are we not going to have any queer characters or people of color left in the CW universe at this point?
I mean,
well, that too. And yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. And Batwoman is a good example of that. Like, that also got canceled.
Yeah, commiserative hug to all of our Batwoman friends and podcast family. Like, that's also a huge blow. But we are 7 seasons in, like, to Morgan's point, we're 7 seasons in. I was hoping for, like, realistically, I think the three of us, and especially me, I was like, if we get a renewal, it will be a final season renewal. And I think I was kind of ready for that.
And we've been talking about the cancellation of Legends, the possible cancellation, I would say since 2 years ago. Because that was like when we had to like make a decision of like, are we going to continue the podcast? Which is why we knew when this got canceled, we were going to continue the podcast because we had talked about it, throughout the years. Because especially around season 6, when that happened, we're like, oh, is this going to get renewed? And then with the big hiatus, we're like, is this going to get renewed? And with like Ray leaving and all that. We've always been on this roller coaster ride of like, oh, is this going to get renewed? And finally, when I felt like the show was so at a high, or like you get Booster Gold and you have all this stuff, it's like, oh yeah, we're probably going to get renewed. So this was like, I think, a shocker because of that.
Yeah. I mean, I had hoped for like maybe a 4 to 6 episode mini season. Like I would be fine with that. I would be fine with a 6 episode season 8 just to round everything up.
Yeah, I honestly was shocked by this cancellation, even though we've all been kind of talking about, oh my God, what if it doesn't get canceled? And seeing the, Renew Legends of Tomorrow hashtag and seeing how hard the cast and the crew and everybody was fighting for the renewal for the show made me think, there is some reason to worry. But part of me wasn't worried because I was like, would they really just cancel the show without giving them a swan song of some kind? Isn't that so disrespectful? They gave so many other Arrowverse shows that opportunity to have a last season. Supergirl, Arrow,
Black Lightning too.
Black Lightning, which was only
That's right.
That show was like 3 seasons, I think, right? Or 4 seasons, and they got to know going in like this is our last season, so we can put together a story that's like a last season story. Yeah. And so I just couldn't believe that they wouldn't give them at least a couple episodes, a movie, something to wrap the story, or at the very least tell them, as season 7 was winding down, like, hey, we don't know, maybe you want to put together a finale that could work as a finale.
We got real estate this season for a Bebo Christmas special. You're telling me you couldn't give an hour?
That's so true.
Yeah.
I
didn't think about that, and now I don't want to be thinking about it because
it feels like we were in New York and you said, you know what, I'm going to take a road trip all the way across the country to the West Coast because I want to watch a West Coast sunset in San Diego. And you're driving across the country and you get to the edge of Arizona and they're like, oh, earthquake, huge pit, California's not here anymore. You can't get there. You see that ocean? You can't get there. And you're like, great, all I've got is a pit in front of me, and it's not even the interesting like Grand Canyon pit. It's like the Odessa, Texas meteor pit. And it's just like, is it great? Did you have a good road trip? Yeah. But did you get a chance to see the sunset in San Diego? No.
No,
and
you
that's
did
the
not.
Frustrating part.
I saw that Rachel just pointed out that another sad part is that we won't get to do another fantasy draft, which
I'm
was
very
so
upset
fun
about that.
this year. And I was really looking forward to it for next season. And now, womp.
We have to do a fantasy draft of something else.
just something in life.
Just in life.
Email us.
Email us the data of our lives and we'll figure out what happens next. That's definitely sad. I feel like that's another thing is like, 7 years we've been doing this podcast, but I feel like, I don't want to say we just got into the groove of our podcast, but I think that hiatus season really helped us figure out exactly what we wanted to do with the podcast. And then we had that bad season of season 6. I don't want to say horrible, but it was, not great. And then we had a wonderful season of season 7. And that I thought like really brought a lot of life into our podcast and a lot of excitement. So it kind of sucks that just as the show was getting better, I think our podcast was getting even better as well.
I agree.
At least talking about Legends.
I was liking the different segments we had, the fantasy draft and the history.com by Kat.
History.com, which I think we should still do. I think we should do like bi-weekly or monthly history according to cat.coms where Kat doesn't know anything. Like Kat she's going to tell us what she thinks she knows about Tudor history, and then Morgan and I are going to teach her what she doesn't know about Tudor history. And it'll be like drunk history, but Kat's completely sober.
Yeah, I don't need to be drunk to
what this is going to become, but
and my more drunk Riverdale. We'll have to see how everyone takes drunk. Well, it might just be drunk Amy, but we'll have to see how everyone.
If you remember, Amy never drinks.
Amy never drinks.
I never do this.
I never never
Take a
do this
shot.
except for apparently the cancellation of a show that has been a major part of our lives for the last 8 years, which is the
I was
other
still
thing.
in college when this show was out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so there you go. It's
This was-
crazy.
This was before I moved back to San Diego. I was still in college. I didn't even have my dog yet. Like,
Wow.
this show has been around for so long. It's been such an integrated part of our lives. And back again to Morgan's point, I think that's what's frustrating, is that we don't get an opportunity to see the story end on the terms that we know the writers would have done. But we got that penultimate episode. We got the beautiful episode that they wrote as a sort of series finale, almost like they were kind of worried. Which at the time we were not worried. So we're like, nah, it's going to be fine. But if we look back at it now, if I go back and watch that, I'm going to cry.
Oh my God, yeah, that's going to be, I wasn't super emotional the first time because I was like, oh, there's going to be another season. But now I think when I rewatch that episode, it's going to be like, oh, geez, like this is kind of it. And it did feel like they might the writers might have had a suspicion that like they were coming towards the end, but I didn't get the impression that they thought it was the end. And I think if they had known it was the end, they would have not left it on a cliffhanger, but also, yeah, like written like an actual finale. We didn't really get like a series finale for Legends, which is what I'm annoyed about. Like that's what I'm upset about. I think the most is that it deserved, after so many years and so much, so many great characters, and Sarah Lance like has been on 100 CW shows and she doesn't get to have a real ending.
God,
it's just a stopping point. We leave her like pregnant and we don't.
California fell off like earthquake. California fell off. That's unfortunate. That's what it feels like. It really does. But Miriam just said that when we watched that penultimate episode, Miriam said, I thought to myself, sure am glad the show isn't ending. I feel like it's right? The same thing. It's such a bummer. And I feel like, the frustrating part is that to get the show renewed, they had to create some sort of cliffhanger. They had to create some sort of hook, something to get the network to say, let's bring it back. Like, oh, we want to see Booster Gold, which they also finally got approval for Booster Gold. And CW's like, nah.
Well, not just approval, but they hired like a name actor. They hired Donald Faison. They had him locked in for next season. So, I mean, what reason would they have to think that they weren't going to get renewed? It's just so crazy.
Well, one thing we should talk about is kind of the big elephant in the room is that Discovery has now taken over Warner Brothers. They bought Warner Brothers, and that's why the show got canceled for sure.
100%. It's the Discovery Warner Brothers merger that is the reason that Batwoman and Legends got canceled. Like 100%. I feel like they're going to retool the DC properties, and I feel like as well, HBO Max is another reason, because I think I started noticing as soon as HBO Max came on, I think that's when Black Lightning got canceled.
That and also the movie franchises. We don't know. I think they're trying to figure out how can we be the MCU and make money. They're trying to figure out, well, we don't know what's going to happen in that Flash movie. What
if the Flash movie never comes out?
It might not at this point.
You know what? There is part of me that was like, I wonder if they need to start cutting things because they're going to try to do a tie-in. Like if they really truly are going to try to kind of multiverse of madness it and be like, oh, look, the CW.
I don't think Legends Tomorrow would be part of that, though.
No, but I think like if they were like, let's bring Flash in, they might have to prioritize where they're putting their work and their effort and, get like, Grant Gustin to play Flash since Ezra Miller's in jail. I
was thinking that as I wonder if one of the reasons that they renewed Flash is because maybe they're thinking about like bringing him into the actual movies somehow in some way. But I feel like we're seeing the beginning of the end of the Arrowverse as we've understood.
Yes,
like they're just getting rid. They're killing it. And the show that got renewed besides Flash is Superman and Lois, which doesn't like acknowledge the Arrowverse. It's like it tells the Arrowverse like you can't sit with us. It doesn't want to exist in that shared universe at all.
Naomi might be canceled too. We don't have word on it, but that was also something on the bubble, and that's a new show, and that was like
from Ava DuVernay of all people, who's a big name. So I mean, and it's hard not to be the person who's like, what do all the shows that got canceled have in common?
Yeah.
I wonder.
And what's frustrating is you think we're beyond that. You think you're beyond that point where we have to sit there and go,
Especially on the
shows
CW,
with
if I'm
queer
being
characters and people of color that got booted, but it feels so personal, especially after all that Killing Eve stuff that just happened. Ooh.
Yeah,
And the 100.
Maybe we'll do a whole podcast about
that. Dude, have they not learned? Could they
No,
not
they
have
have
just said,
not.
hey, we totally get it. We respect what you guys bring to the table. We respect the fact that you have brought these incredible characters of color and these incredible queer characters to life. I'll tell you what, we're going to give you 2 hours. That's all. Like, give me 2 hours. I feel like Legends could write a beautiful
Even an
2-part
hour
episode. Even an hour. Yeah, give us 1 hour. Give us a webisode. Oh my God, like a cute little webisode documentary.
Maybe not a
That would
webisode.
be beautiful.
Because there would be, we hardly have
I'll
any
take
budget
anything.
now. They'd probably be in like one room.
They're in jail
whole
cells.
entire
They're like
time.
FaceTiming each other. They're like,
Yeah.
so, what'd you get today? And he's like, got raw crackers. What about you? I got some moldy bread.
It'd be
Cool,
like it
man.
would be like that Hawkman thing that they released on the internet.
Yes.
Where he's like looking at his phone sadly, hoping that Barista Hawk Girl will call him back.
So,
And you know what's so crazy
funny.
is that we have these comics too that are coming
Yeah.
out with Legends and Batwoman and Stargirl and all these comics are like, what? Now
And
it's just
half the shows are canceled now.
Yeah.
It's like there.
Okay.
It does feel very strange that they would do these promotional tie-in comics as they're canceling the shows that the promotional tie-in comics are like promoting.
I'd like to point out my favorite comment so far from Jeffrey Lewis, who says it's like similar to what Timeless did with the movie to tie everything up. I remember that. Do you guys remember how hard Timeless fans campaigned
did.
to get an ending?
Do
And
you
it
think,
was great. It was wonderful.
Do you think that's gonna that could happen with Legends? I think we have a very dedicated fan base, but I don't know.
I don't think the
I-
CW cares as much as I think it was CBS or NBC.
NBC,
Whatever.
Yeah.
I think it was NBC was Timeless.
Also,
I think
like,
Network
yeah.
has a little bit more flexibility.
I want to believe, but I also feel like the
I
lands,
wanna believe.
like the X Files. But I feel like the media landscape has changed so much in the last couple
Yeah.
years, even since that Timeless thing happened.
Yeah.
Whereas, like before, you could
Especially
expect,
comics.
yeah, and before you could
Mhm.
maybe hope for, if you have a dedicated fan base and you could kind of prove that you guys everybody's really into it and there's enough of you, you could convince like a streamer to maybe pick you up. Like Netflix saved Lucifer. Netflix saved a couple shows. I think a couple.
But
Hulu
Netflix
saved.
is in trouble.
But
right
now-
Manifest, yeah.
But now Netflix is they're just this week they they fired a bunch of people from that Tum Dum
Mhm.
thing.
They're canceling things left and right.
canceling things
Just-
left and right. They're losing subscribers, and I think that the other streamers maybe are just like kind of laughing at Netflix right now, but that they could be next. I think a lot of these streamers have been spending money that they weren't making exactly
Mhm.
on these shows, and so I don't think that we're in a period of time where it used to be on
Things can
Netflix,
be
like
saved.
where they would just pick things up. Oh, people like this, sure, we'll give it a season. Oh, people like this, let's pick this up. And now I don't feel like, unfortunately, like that was, if this had happened maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I feel like we might have had a chance. But right now I feel like it's a bad time to be like
Yeah.
turning to the streamers or something like that for
Well,
a bailout.
And again, with comic media right now, everything, Marvel's success right now with their shows is that it is connected to the movies that are making them billions of dollars, not even just millions. They're
Yeah.
making billions of dollars through these shows connected. You had WandaVision, which was so successful as just a show. And now you're going to have Doctor Strange. And people are going to that movie to go see WandaVision, to go see Wanda, more than
Yeah,
Doctor
yeah.
Strange
Mhm.
himself. So with DC, because they're so scattered right now, I don't see the possibility with that. I think comic media is trying to figure out who they are right now. They're just
Everything is.
everything is for
and-
sure. But I think comic media is a bigger culprit in that, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think it flooded the market, and then we're maybe hitting like a saturation point on comic book shows, unfortunately. So I
Yeah.
feel like maybe earlier on Legends would have had like a better shot. But now when there were only a couple of comic book shows out there, you had like all the fans would watch them. But now you have 110 comic book shows. So like the audience is really split up more than it was before.
I think what's frustrating though is Legends is so out of the mold of normal. Like, it doesn't start with my name is Oliver Queen. It's got a whole bunch of different characters. It time travels. It does whatever it wants. And you know what? At least we got that. Like, that is such a joy. Like, we've been kind of commiserating right now. So I'm going to change the conversation around to the things we're going to miss and the things we love. Like, I was thinking about this when I was driving home after we got the news, driving home to record. We all were kind of about season 1. When would you guys say that it hit us where we go, oh, we've got a show? Do you remember that moment? Because I think I do.
I think it was like kind of early in season 2 where I was like, wow, this show feels different. It feels like enjoyable.
I started liking the show though once we got with Ava, actually. Like, I think I started really loving the show when we started getting there, I would say. Not that I didn't love the show
good,
before,
but like, I love the show. I
exactly.
agree. I think
it was good in season 2.
It was good.
Yeah.
We got the episode. I will never forget it because I remember it was the first episode where the three of us were like, whoa. It was episode 4 of season 2. It was the zombie episode, Abominations, which was our first Universal Outstanding episode that we recorded on our OWLs. Right. And that was, if you look back at it, that was the episode where Legends said, we could have a conversation about race in this crazy show about zombies in the Civil War. We could have a conversation about race. And all of a sudden, that season started developing this wild and wacky balance between the insanity of zombies and time travel and clones and robots and these heartfelt moments where you sit there and you go, hot damn, when was the last time we ever saw characters with that good of, I don't know, things like communication on screen? Like the IKEA episode, it's ridiculous, but was it a wonderful episode about how two queer individuals can have a conversation, how any relationship can have a conversation? It's just so insane to me that we have to watch a show like this go.
Yeah, I know. And especially that Sarah and Ava relationship, I think was so well written. It was so layered. It was so enjoyable to watch. And there was real drama and there was real build up to it. And, we all, I think, here watch a lot of TV, and I'll watch a lot of TV that, has queer characters in it. And a lot of times I feel like writers and showrunners think like, okay, well, these two characters like each other and they're, and they're queer. So that's the story. But it's not giving the characters like a story like a straight relationship would have, where they have struggles and why don't they get along and like what's their problems, and like that there's a building up. We had like a textbook love-hate relationship, like romance trope on this show, kind of like they went from enemies to lovers.
That's exactly what they did.
And you never, I feel like you don't, it was so rare to see that on TV. And then to have that like continue on, and to have that once they got together, to still have them be interesting, to still have them have struggles and problems, but not be like manufactured drama. I thought like, really, it was like a masterclass in like writing a relationship that was still interesting and you could still invest in without it being like, oh my God, this other person over here, or something like some manufactured drama. And so I'm really sad to be losing that.
For sure. It was a great show, and I think it was just very special because it also was such a comedy and so heartwarming, and just a very easy show to watch that I don't remember last time there was an easy show to watch. Either it's super dramatic, or I feel like all the very super dramatic or very super fantasy, I would say. Like if you think of the Game of Thrones or Walking Dead and stuff like that, like the very big popular shows, like Legends was just like what I would say why I like watching like reality television, because it's like very simple and it's very easy to watch. And you don't have many, especially comic shows like that either.
and it was fun, and it didn't get mired down in mythology, which I think is for comic book shows that are 7 years old so rare. Like usually when you're hopping into some comic book or genre show in season 7, it's indecipherable. Like you're like, what's happening? Who's this person? And Legends, because of the time travel aspect, and also because they switch things up every season, and because the anthology aspect and the rotating cast really helped it feel so fresh, even going into season 7. I was like, from like a longevity of the show perspective, and also maybe ratings or something like that, maybe it wouldn't make sense to like have it continue on forever. But creatively, like, season 7 showed that they hadn't hit a wall yet. They still had more stories to tell. They were still telling them in interesting ways. And so I'm upset from that perspective too, because I feel like the way that Legends was built, it could have continued on, honestly, for a couple years even. And but at least for one more season, and to hear like some shows that won't be named getting renewed, and it's like that are very old feeling when you watch them, and you're like, whew.
It's Swarley's in the comments, and Swarley said, I don't ever really consider Legends as a superhero shows because I don't really like superhero shows. They tend to be formulaic and derivative, and I like that Legends bucked that trend. And Abby says Legends was, for the most part, so good at having drama that wasn't fully relying on character miscommunications or weird off-screen relationship moments. Like this was, and I think that was good too, is that you're talking about a show that is, season 6 sporadic episodes aside, really nailed.
Look, the meat episode is great, guys. Don't hate on the meat episode.
Just for the meat episode.
Don't bring up the meat episode. Like you had shows. I mean, I think we all agree that the best, for me at least, the best part about Legends was when they managed to strike that balance between crazy absurdity and really incredible character moments. Like think about the finale that we saw. Oh my god, we can now call it the finale.
No, I remember as we were recording, you were like, guys, what if this is the last episode? And we were like, it's not.
That's my yeah, that's my fault. I blame that. I was like, guys, what if this is the last time we ever read fan feedback? I was like, guys, what if this is our last fan feedback episode?
And I was like, don't worry. I feel I might have also cursed us because I was like, come on, don't be silly.
But like in that moment where you remember where you had Astra, Gideon, and Spooner all together, all huddled together, and then the Wave Rider explodes and then comes back together again, and you're like, wow. We have 3 characters, 2 of whom were just Spooner is 2 seasons old, so to speak. Human Gideon's just a season old. And then Astra grew by leaps and bounds within the last 2 seasons. And you've got these characters that we weren't really sure about, that now it's almost impossible to think about a world without, creating this moment where, again, Kat didn't cry. I cried. And I was like, this is a beautiful moment. And I love that. I love that we get that in Legends at the same time that it was a magic ship stuck in a space where time doesn't exist that exploded because of an evil version of a human robot. Like, it's ridiculous. But it was
It's also kind of crazy to think that Nate left the show thinking, oh, what are we going to do without Nate? What are we going to do without the whole entire show now?
I know.
Right?
He didn't even need to leave the show because there wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't
a show
anything.
to leave.
Yeah. I mean, I also think about like how we were still kind of discovering things about these. Like to Amy's point, that we were just still discovering things about these characters. Like the Spooner and Astra friendship really brought new things to those characters, like adding Gideon in. Human Gideon, we only got 1 season with Human Gideon, but there was way more that they could have explored with her. And like we had just found out, Spooner had just kind of come out as Ace, and they didn't do anything with it much in this season, but I figured, they're definitely going to explore it next season.
Hey, how about Bayrod? We don't know what's going to make him level up. We don't know.
Bayrod was just about to level up. True tragedy.
And we never are going to find out what happened to Constantine. He's just wandering around,
He's a
finding magic mushrooms. He's a mushroom.
Let him
Actually,
enjoy
his
life as a fungus.
Yeah, I feel like Constantine and like Lucifer are gonna unintentionally run into each other, and it's gonna be really awkward. Like, I feel like that's
I was about to say I could see Constantine showing up on that show, but then that show's also over. So
that show's also
womp
over.
womp.
Okay, so let's talk about favorite things about Legends. Just spout them out. Like, what are besides? No, you can say it. You can say Ava Lance. Like, what are the things that someone says? Why should I watch Legends of Tomorrow? What do you tell them?
If I'm being honest, I feel like, yeah, no, the queer representation is probably why most people should watch this show. Like, from an importance level, I think it's just because of Ava Lance. Like, I think that's a good reason to watch the show. I also think it's just sometimes you just don't want to be bogged down by the world. I think it's just a great show. If you want a lunch show, those are kind of hard to find sometimes. You're like, you want a good lunch show. I think Legends is the one to be for sure.
Yeah,
I would always watch it while I'm eating lunch. I'll catch up before the podcast.
Yes, it's the I've had a long week at work, and I can't wait to just watch something that's enjoyable. Like I think that's how I would describe it. It's just like it's just a fun show. It does a lot of things well.
Good characters.
It has good characters, funny moments, a lot of humor, a lot of good character stuff, and it's just fun. Like, you're not gonna come away from watching Legends of Tomorrow being like, ugh, why did I watch that? Even in some of the bad seasons, I would get on here after I would watch the episode and I'd be like, that wasn't the best, but I had fun. And then we would talk about it and I'd be like, oh, that episode wasn't great. But I don't think like some of those episodes, like their worst episodes don't hold up to like scrutiny. But their best episodes really are just really good, solid, like character studies that are just enjoyable. I just think that the Legends was just such a enjoyable show, and I'm really gonna miss like having that in my TV rotation.
I don't watch that many shows weekly. This is like one of the only shows I watched weekly. So that's another thing. I'm gonna miss like weekly television. Yeah, it was just like I actually don't think it's a great binge show. I personally think it's a better show if you watch it weekly.
I agree. I think it's a lot of fun because every episode feels a little bit different. And I think that it was serialized for sure, but I like that it was a little bit more episodic. And I feel like TV in general, like television, has kind of been losing episodic type shows for a while now.
Trying to get back to it now.
Yeah, I feel like, if you want to get an episodic show, it's like kind of Law and Order and that's it. But I liked that Legends had an overarching plot, but like, in one episode, they could be in a completely different time period than the next episode. Everything kind of felt unique. When we talk about episodes, I don't like go, wait, I don't remember what happened in that episode like I do for some other shows. You can just say like, oh, like the E.T. episode, and I immediately know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. Or like the Mr. Rogers episode, you know what you're talking about. The meat episode, we know what we're talking about. I like some of the comments we're getting in our live stream are all kind of along the same lines of the fact that this show, like Kat said, is escapist in a good way. It's the idea of like escapist reading. And people don't understand that. When you're a reader and they're like, why are you reading a book about dragons? Why are you reading a book about fae who can fly? Like, why are you reading this stuff? And I'm like, you know what? Because sometimes the real world, you need to let it go for a second. You need to escape into these stories. And the stories can be crazy and they can be wild and they can be wacky. But if you identify even a little bit with one of the characters or one of the circumstances, it's this incredible escapist show that then hits you in the heart. And that's what Legends is so good at. Like I said it earlier, when we found out, I think the first thing that struck me is how weird this show is and how
so
weird
good.
These characters are and how those weird characters connect with somebody on every level. And no matter how weird you are, no matter if you're a romance novelist or if you're a big tough guy who happens to write romance, or even if you feel weird or you feel alone, you're not. And I think that that's incredibly important. I think we see that so often in Legends. We even think about like Zari, that one episode that we love so much, the Here I Go Again, the gopher Gopher Day? Is that what it? Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day? Gopher Day?
Not Gopher
Or
Day.
Gopher
I'm
Day.
like, it's a little creature, comes out, it looks at the sun.
It could be Gopher Day. Yeah, we can
It
let
could be
you have
Gopher
that.
Day. So the Gopher Day episode, like, you can see yourself in these characters, and whether or not it's because you see yourself in a character of color, you see yourself in a queer character, you see yourself in a character who other people might define as weird, when you see yourself and you see yourself represented in a way that makes you go, wow, I'm not alone, that means so much. And there are a lot of shows that miss that mark, and this show doesn't, and that's what I'm gonna miss. I'm gonna miss looking at this show, seeing myself on screen, and seeing the stories and the love and the family and the friendship that is built around that.
And genuine friendship. I think there's so
Yeah.
many shows that just have such built-in drama, and especially superhero shows. We could keep talking about that. Like for five episodes, like, why didn't you tell me I was the Flash? Or, oh, let's fight for 10 episodes because of this stupid thing, or let's not talk or communicate. And this show never did that. If they were fighting, it'll be for an episode, and they're like, oh, I understand where you're coming from. And it was a show just built on friendship and found family and all these very different voices somehow working and being a family, which I thought was very important as well.
And I think it's super important that like the show was really diverse. It had, characters from different backgrounds all the time on the show. I think Zari and Bayrod were such important characters, but so was Amaya and Charlie, and so was
no one was stereotypes either, which was wonderful,
no one was. Spooner. Like we had so many different types of characters that were all so different and so interesting, and had layers that you could kind of really peel back, and nobody was nobody on the show was one dimensional. Even though we didn't always like them all at the beginning, we always like learned to love them as we learned more about them. And I think that we would always joke that like when a new character would pop up, like, well, we don't like them now, but they'll probably be our favorite character in like in like
every
a season.
time.
Yeah,
except
and, like,
Mona, but
except Mona. I'm sorry, Mona. We couldn't get there
and
with
Rip.
you. R.I.P. ripping on Rip. But
oh my gosh, that's a flashback.
Right? I just think that the characters were so good on this show, and like the diversity and like the different kinds of characters on this show, and that found family dynamic. It's hard to find something like that on TV, honestly.
Can I get really sappy here for a second?
I'm ready.
I think
of course
the three of us are that found family.
Oh, for sure.
Aww.
Like think about that. Before this podcast, never met you guys, had no idea who you were. We come together and we start recording a podcast, and we're like, this show is ridiculous. And slowly we get to know each other, and we get to the point where we're at Morgan's wedding together. Like, taking a photo where we literally kicked Mike out of the photo.
I was like, legendary ladies only.
And we go to Comic-Con, and we see each other, and we think about each other, and we chat with each other, and that is a found family.
And we talk to each other every day, and honestly, rarely about Legends.
A lot of Wordle.
That's true.
A lot of Wordle.
And it's not just that. Like think about all the fans that we've connected with. We've got Fiona, our OBGYN from Scotland. We've got Miriam, who creates 3D stuff. And I always forget which country she's from. Bahrain, I think.
I think you're right. Yes.
I hope I'm right. We've got people who are on every level of the queer
We have so
spectrum.
many data analysts. So many.
So many data analysts. So many Rachels.
So many Rachels. So many Emmas. There's people fighting for the Emma title.
We have so many people that are going to fight to the death to be the OG version of their name.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I was just did an emergency feelings processing on Gay Gal's Watch. I think that they're going to post that tomorrow, but I mentioned that like one of our listeners couldn't make a play in New York and sent us the tickets. Like Claire sent us the tickets, and I got to see Tala in a off-Broadway show. And like I don't know if every podcast is like this, but I don't think it is. Like the community that we have here.
I don't think so. I think that's what strikes me. is that, and it's not even just fandoms, because I have been a part of podcasts with other types of fandoms that have level of toxicity.
People just care about each other. And it's not even about like just the stories. They just care about like each other in this fandom, which I really like.
It's a nice fandom, and that's hard to say. That is hard to say in general, but also it's hard to say 7 seasons in. Usually by season 7, like the scariest part of the fandom has taken over.
There's never been a scary part in Legends.
No,
I've knock on wood, I've never interacted with anybody who's been like, oh, like, you know, like just so divisive. I feel like everyone kind of cares about each other's thoughts.
Because these characters that they built, they did it so well. Like, I think let's think about this. Like, if they had done Ava Lance dirty, we would have a completely different, scary, dark pit part of a fandom.
Oh,
but
for sure.
They didn't. They did that good. They did.
The friendships are great. No one fought, so there's nobody. We can't fight with each other because no one's fighting in the show.
No one's fighting in the show. Even the things that didn't work out still ended up finding their way to a good ending. And I think like if we really wanted to deep dive, could we find things where we're like, that could have been better? Yeah. But when you look at the overall scope of it and you go, hot damn, this show nailed so many things. Like, where do you get to see that in a series that runs for 7 seasons, again, about time traveling weirdos? Like,
one thing I think is really cool, I just want to shout out. Rayla says, I'm loving your podcast so far. Shane, this is my first episode. I think it's kind of amazing. This is the last episode. We're talking about the last episode of Legends, and we got new viewers. So that's amazing. Thank you.
That was the other thing.
I love it.
So think about like the conversations that Legends sparked. Like the hiatus, were we all sad that we didn't have Legends for a year and a half? Absolutely. I could have gone without.
We did so many creative things, though.
We had so many creative things, like our queer representation episode. Holy moly! Let's talk about like using a show to launch and kickstart conversations. I mean, that's
or literally
great.
Talk about Kickstarters. You know?
Or talk about Kickstarter
multiple times.
or talk about just representation or spooky episodes. Will either Morgan or Kat watch Constantine?
No.
Especially
not now.
Not unless you win some sort of contest and make us.
Ooh, that's gonna be the winning thing.
I hope Amy.
I wouldn't
loses.
though. Honestly, it's not worth it.
She's like, I wouldn't do that to you guys. I'm sorry.
Oh man, and it's also like.
Post a link in the comments of our podcast just in case
yeah.
people are listening for the first time.
Rayla, you get to be OG Rayla. We have identified you. You are now OG Rayla, which, by the way, have you guys ever seen The Dragon Prince on Netflix?
I've heard good stuff.
I started to watch it and I never finished it, but maybe I should.
The main character's name is Rayla, and she speaks like this, and she's a real cool character. She's also an elf, and she's got four fingers. That's really
Is she Irish?
No, she's Scottish, but it's not real.
I was about to say, that
she
sounds
lives
a
in
little
fake
Scottish.
World. If Fiona's listening, she's sitting here going, no.
Fiona's like, no,
Wait,
that's not the way.
Did you guys see we got an email from our Drunk Riverdale episode where someone
we gotta read that at
my
some point.
Australian accent?
Oh my god, that's amazing.
We gotta read that email.
Oh man,
Not now,
we are accepting suggestions, by the way. If there are other episodes you want us to watch out of context, which actually we've wanted to do for a while. We've pick up random shows.
That a lot, actually.
We should do that.
Out of context ideas. So probably more of those.
Yeah, well, I guess that's a good question to ask our audience. Not even just out of context, but like I think we're literally gonna probably talk about right after the show is like what our podcast is gonna bring you. So. Do you guys want off-topic things? Do you want Legends conversations? Like, what do you guys want to see?
We have some
from this podcast. We do. I think we didn't know the show was ending when we planned those. So we'll have to think about what we want to do. But
I like Swirly's idea.
Oh my god, yes,
Twinsies.
So
Swirly says, I feel like you should do a series on finales on different shows, similar to Pilot Pod episode. You want to know what's funny? Is after we did our Cancer Gets Lost interview with Joe, kid you not, went and started just straight up the 6th season of Lucifer, and I'm binging it and loving it.
Have you watched the previous seasons of Lucifer?
No, I watched maybe
So
5
you're
of
just
the
like,
first.
just season 6.
Maybe 5 episodes, but they
So
did
you're
a
just
really
going
good
in.
last time on Lucifer
Ah.
recap, a really good one, and I was like, oh, this is good. And the internet, when it comes to things like Lucifer and like Ava Lance, it does a really good job of spoiling you through GIF sets. So I knew enough about everything that happened, but I'm really entertained, and I'm gonna have to go back and watch all of Lucifer. Oh, I like Abby's idea. Watch only the first and last episodes of a show that you'll never actually watch.
That's a good one. I
Constantine,
think
there we are.
I think there actually is a podcast like that where I think a journalist talks to like actors though and gets them to watch the first and last episodes of a random TV show.
Oh,
I just
that's
remember
funny.
it because there was like I have to listen to it. I haven't, but it's they have John Hamm watching the first and last episode of Gossip Girl, and I feel like that's got to be amazing.
Oh my God, that's great.
You know what's so interesting reading the comments? We have 2 people that started this podcast in season 7. So Trek and Jen.
Whoa.
And then also, who else? I saw somebody else here. Lainey started this show in season 7. That is nuts. Thank you for watching and listening.
It's kind of cool. It's like, it's Morgan, you said earlier, like an onion. It's like you look at this fandom and you start at the show and you start to unpeel these layers of fandom. Like you've got the show and then you've got the writers and then we're talking like there's fans of the shows and fans of the writers and then we're talking about it and people are listening to us talking about the show. And it's just a whole bunch of people getting together to chat about the show and, have fun and be silly and wacky. Like, we were talking about when we first started, we developed crazy segments like our question corners, our encore history, the history that you will never know. Like I was telling a friend the other day, like you should listen to our podcast. I literally said, listen to our podcast because you will learn absolutely nothing about Amelia Earhart.
No, you definitely won't.
We can guarantee that for you.
Although you might take a history exam and get the answer right.
That was my favorite. That was one of my favorite pieces of feedback we've ever gotten. That was up there with like the mermaid totem piece of feedback.
I had a question about prohibition, and I just said what Kat said, and I was right.
I got it right. I was like, how?
I don't know what world, but I'm happy to hear that I helped you pass your class.
If we have helped even one fan get an A on a test, then we have done
with
our
wrong
job.
information, then I'm doing something right.
Oh man, and that's the good part too. Like, think about how much feedback we got. Like, I was always wondering, like, oh, as our show goes along, like as the show continues, are there going to be points where like we drop back on our feedback and like we don't get as many emails? And I think we get more. We got more as the seasons went along. Like, people kept emailing us dissertations. We just kept getting so much stuff and feedback.
And from different people, too.
From different people, new people.
And new listeners in season 7 is crazy, honestly, of like a podcast
cool.
and a TV show. And yet we were getting people saying like, I just found your podcast now and I've been listening or I've been catching up. And that was so gratifying because, you're this late in, you're like, oh yeah, our listeners are our listeners. But the fact that we were picking up new people and they were always sending in great emails too. And I was like, oh man, well, all of our listeners are cool, which is great.
That's the other thing. Our listeners are cool. Like, again, it goes back to the fandom is cool. The writers are cool. They're listening to their fans. They're adjusting. Like, I think that's the other hard part about this whole thing is, like, we're commiserating over a lost story. But they're sorry, this comment.
I know, I was dying.
This podcast showcasing the failure points in American education system. Hey, Kat. How did World War I start?
Who
was the linchpin of World War I? There is an archduke. Do you know where he's from?
School. Went to Catholic school.
Sure, he was Catholic.
It's always blaming Catholic school. I went to Catholic school. I knew.
I went to a Christian school, and I knew it was Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
Look, I
don't want
tell you
Kat
about
to
the
ever
Old
learn more about
Testament.
history. I want to keep her this way forever.
Yeah, I really do too.
I don't think even if you have taught me, I would know the information. So you're good.
She knows
You're,
Fred.
Oh my God,
Fred the
can
Navigator.
We pull up the latest comment. Honestly, Legends has helped me pass some of my world history tests.
I don't
it was
get
great.
I had a conversation with a kid about. Archduke Franz Ferdinand's assassination for 10 minutes just from the episode. You know what though? Okay, remember when we saw the coins in Astra's possession, and then we did like that really crazy long series of episodes, I learned so much.
I did like a Mary Tudor thing, a deep dive. You did what was
Caligula?
Yeah, Caligula.
I did Genghis Khan.
I still remember all those Genghis Khan facts. So many.
He killed a lot of people.
He killed a lot of people is what I still remember every time I think of Genghis Khan.
It's like, you guys don't get it. It was a lot of people.
Every now and then I'll hear something about Genghis Khan and I'll just kind of start laughing like a weird person because I just think of Kat being like, and then like the top 10 list about Genghis Khan.
Well, that's like me. I was watching something the other day and they mentioned Caligula and I'm like, oh yeah, him and his sex island. I was like, I remember this.
I'm glad you guys remember the history because
I remember that yours was like 4 minutes long and mine was over 40 minutes.
I was surprised that you guys went on for so long. I was like, how much can you talk about history?
Just get Morgan and I in a room.
How much is there about history?
We all have many.
And Amy and I have like opinions about historical figures. We're like, I didn't like him.
Okay,
and I don't have enough facts to know if I like a person or not.
You're just like, you seem great.
I'm gonna watch this question fly right over Kat's head, but I gotta ask.
I'm ready.
Do you have a distinctive opinion about Anne of Cleves? Because I think it was the healthiest relationship Henry VIII had.
That's so funny. Yeah, it probably was, even though because he didn't actually like her. So,
but he didn't. But he was nice about it. He divorced her
after he
and gave her a nice house.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, Anne of Cleves got like the best part of the deal.
She has a great name.
Entirely. She's got a great name. She got a good house, and then she just hung out and played cards with people. She never even had to get married after that, which back then
it was great.
Sucked.
Good gig. Okay, so let's we got about like 9-10 minutes left before I think we're gonna wrap up the episode. I want to hear from you guys and I want to hear from our fans who are listening live and who are in the chat room. If you had to tell somebody, I'm gonna give you a Legends of Tomorrow episode, what episode are you gonna give them to watch?
Oh, that's such a good question.
I always go with the Zari episode, the Groundhog
Day,
the Sonic Hedgehog Day episode.
I feel like I'm between. There's so many good ones. That one I would be the top of my list, and then also I feel like we don't mention it a lot, but the Ray E.T. episode I feel like is kind of also like a perfect little bottle episode that's so sweet and fun and like funny and kind of is what Legends is about, like characters.
Moonshot! Do you guys remember Moonshot? Do you remember the song? Oh my god!
Oh, what song was it? Where Victor Garber gets to sing this.
Why can't I not remember it? All I have stuck in my head is the Banana Minions song. That's not right.
I don't think that was one.
What is it called?
That would have been an even stranger turn if he had just sang the Banana Minions song. Yes, Theo.
Oh, thank God. Whew. It is called Banana Boat Song. Okay, so that's why I had banana in my head, but I had the Minions from the Despicable Me show. Anyway, I honestly,
the proposal episode from season 6 is such a good one.
Oh, that's such a good one. I think I would show him Bullet Blondes, season 7 opener.
That's a really fun one.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
That's a great episode.
It's very
what
refreshing.
Else? Oh, the one where we're trapped on TV. Man, that episode.
That so good.
That is
I do like
so good.
Someone mentioned the IKEA episode. Like
that's a
phenomenal episode as well.
Raiders of the Lost Art. Is that the same one?
Yeah.
I think so.
I would recommend the meat episode.
Personally, as
the reality show episode.
The reality show episode was good. That one was honestly, some of these episodes that were like a little bit more self-contained are kind of good places to like drop people in.
The documentary episode would be a great one to drop people in.
That's a really good
episode. That right now.
I love that episode.
Maybe you will.
So funny.
Maybe I will. That'd be kind of fun. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do some retrospective episodes and go back and maybe we'll do like a March Madness thing where we ask the fans to pick their
Yeah.
top 3 episodes. We will go back, watch them, and do a retrospective on it.
I think we would need a little bit of time before we do it, just because we just reviewed an episode. But I think that'd be fun, like sometime
really
next
fun.
year. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When they miss us a little, like when they miss us talking about a Legends episode, that's when we'll do it.
What if they miss us talking about it immediately?
And then they gotta wait.
Okay.
The Romeo v. Juliet one, Amy, and
We know Amy likes that one.
That's a
I
big
love that
episode for Amy. And her
What
love
I'm hearing is a curated list
Beards
for
and
Sarah to
doublets.
watch. We'll have to have Sarah on. I think Sarah should make us watch a show that she really likes.
That would actually
Not,
It's gonna be
but
12
not
monkeys.
but not 12 monkeys.
It's gonna be
kinda
12 Monkeys.
I kind of
It's gonna be
want
one of
it
her
to be like
K-pop
one of the Korean dramas that she's
Yeah.
watching now.
I think that'd be fun.
I think that would be
that'd a
great.
lot of fun.
Everybody would be confused that listens, and we would be confused watching.
I think
Okay,
that'd be a very fun episode.
This is going to be a really hard question. If you had to pick a series MVP, who would it be?
Ooh.
I think Ava, honestly, just because like Sarah is always good, so it's like she's already a great character. But I think just the progression of Ava.
I'm gonna go Sarah, just because I think her character
Part of your
development-
team.
She's part of my team. She was my ringer. I can't betray her that way. But no, like her character development over all of the different Arrowverse. We've watched her for so long. I think I saw Danny had said that she's been in the on TV, Sarah Lance, since 2013, almost 10 years. And so
Wow.
that character's like development over time to like where she ended up on Legends, I think was so nice and always so fun to watch. And Katie Lotz was always so great in the role. And one of my regrets about not getting a season 8 is that I feel like they had a lot of good Ava development in season 6, even though season 6 itself was a little so-so. But Ava, I think, got a lot of good stuff. And then so season 7, Ava didn't have a lot. And I kind of expect it with season 8 with the whole pregnancy thing. There was going to be a lot of good Ava storylines. And so I feel like we were a little bit, we were cheated out of like a good Ava final season.
I think it would probably go to Sarah as well for the same reason. Like, I distinctly remember that I liked Arrow season 1, but I did not get into Arrow or any of these shows until Sarah.
Oh yeah, Sarah. I think saved the Arrowverse.
Absolutely.
I think so too, honestly.
Absolutely. And so to
because
see
Arrow
her...
was not interesting in season 1, in my opinion. But season 2, right when she came back, was like, oh, that's so interesting. That's a different type of story.
And then when they killed her, I literally stopped watching Arrow. And then they brought her back, and I'm like, oh, look, I can watch this show again. So probably Sarah, but Ava, Gideon, and Amaya are close second place for me. Like, we forget about Amaya because she wasn't around the whole time. But Amaya was a very important character for me, personally. I love that our whole chat is split, really. Yeah. The chat's split between Ava and Sarah. I see a bunch of Gideons.
There's some Zari.
I'm seeing a lot of Zari. I feel like Zari, you can make a strong case for Zari because Tala, first off, is so amazing. Such a great actress. But also, we got different versions of Zari. And I think that has been really fun, too. Like, the fact that there could be 2 different versions of the same character, and I like them both. And I want to keep them both around.
Heartbreaking comment there from Miriam. Sarah saves the Arrowverse, and this is the ending she gets.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
True.
It's the Arrowverse betrayed her.
The Arrowverse did, man. Okay, so let's wrap up. If you did get a chance, if you guys had creative freedom to take season 8 wherever you wanted to go, however long you want to make it, movie, shows,
Nissa
whatever.
joins the Wave Rider. That's it. That's my
and
only comment.
Is she going to be Alan's rugby partner?
Ooh, no. I don't know if he'll be on the show. I don't know if they're going that direction.
Cats Legends Alan is ixed.
Yeah, no, I actually kind of forgot about him.
I did too. And then I immediately felt bad for the actor who they were probably like, great news, you're going to be a regular next season. And then
yes.
bad news.
We're canceled. I think
There's
Nissa,
no next
I would really want the whole entire season to be like Nissa and Ava being not butting heads, but maybe not being friends originally, and then seeing them like become best friends.
Yeah.
That's what I
That-
really
Game
want.
with
season
That
eight
would
to
be hilarious.
Yeah.
They asked the same question on Gay Gals Watch, and there was some talk about Nissa showing up, and like maybe Ava and Sarah leave the Wave Rider for a while, and Nissa takes over as captain or something. That would be fun. I think
That would be so much fun.
I love the idea of having Nissa back for like a last season, because I feel like for so long people were asking like, is she ever going to come on? Is she ever going to come on? They were like, maybe. And then obviously the answer was no, but it would be great.
Especially because she could have more fun
on.
on a show like Legends. You know, she had to be really serious on Arrow.
yeah.
So I think that would just be like her humor would be so fun for this show. It'd just be a really cool foil for Ava and Sarah as well. But I would like to see more OG Zari. That would be nice.
Yeah.
I would want to see who Booster Gold's all about.
Yeah, I know. We got an introduction. We'll never know more. I would have liked to see where the I know we were all worried about it, but I would have liked to see the resolution of that pregnancy storyline. I think seeing pregnant Sarah Lance would have been pretty funny actually throughout the season. You know, Sarah's getting weird cravings, and
you know,
she's like, I want pickles and chocolate ice cream right now.
You know what's so interesting too? What was I gonna say? I kind of lost my thought. Oh, we were gonna do a Booster Gold episode on the podcast about like, oh, who's Booster Gold? And now I'm like, should we do that episode?
I wanted to see if Legends could win me over on Booster Gold, because I was Booster Gold negative.
You were, and I feel like I wish I knew like to know what like the plan was, because I'm sure they had a cool plan for Booster Gold and what they were going to do with him.
That's what I want. Since unfortunately I don't think that there's I am going to hold out hope. I'm crossing all my fingers that we find a way to give Legends their movie or their last hurrah. But if we don't, I would like to know, please, to the writers out there, what was the plan? What are we doing here? I like the idea of these time cops. I also kind of like the idea of them pulling a Fringe. And
can you believe they ended it? Go on.
Like Fringe jumps 25 years to the future. So they have like this big event, and then a character is like trapped in amber, and when they wake up, 25 years have passed. Like, and the world is completely different, and they basically need to go back and fix the moment that screwed everything up. Like, I kind of almost like that idea of us getting a 2042 version. Remember when we had Star City 2042? Like, I kind of like the idea of there being some weird Earth Prime issue in the future, and the time cops are like, hey, guess what? You guys caused this. And they're like, but did we? And then they have to go back and fix it.
Can you believe that this show ended like Seinfeld?
Oh my God. We always got to bring it back to Seinfeld. That is okay. I'm taking that with me in my heart for the rest of the time.
Right? This ended like Seinfeld.
I'll be like, oh, Legends had a Seinfeld ending.
I'm blessed and not and cursed all at the same time. We now have to watch the finale of Seinfeld for the podcast.
That'd be fun. That would be a good one to do.
We're talking about.
That'd be like the before and after, like the start and the finish of Seinfeld. Oh my God. Legends is officially the Seinfeld of the Arrowverse. That is
I know I binged
hilarious.
it for a reason.
See, you were just preparing yourself for this moment.
This very moment. Even though I did not need to binge it to know it ended with them in jail, because I think everyone knew that. But now I have the emotional weight, you know?
Exactly.
Every
Now you can be like, oh, I get it. I get it now. Yeah.
And the audience probably like, oh, Kat, did you like recently watch this? Like, no, I watched this like 3 years ago.
No, we've been talking about Seinfeld for a long time. It's funny how much Seinfeld works its way into my podcast, because like a long running joke on Supergirl Radio was that James slept under his desk because we never saw his house, and it came from like
funny.
that Seinfeld bit where
George.
George used to sleep under his desk.
I always knew that you had that James joke, but I never connected the dots on that.
That was the origin of it, was like the Seinfeld thing where George was like sleeping under he'd made a whole sleep pod under his desk.
He did.
Great episode.
Good show.
I mean, I wonder if they'll look into other ways of continuing the story. Like, do we see the
Write a book.
possibility of like a comic?
I think it depends on how well this Earth Prime comic does. If it does well, and for the people who want to save this show, I think that's honestly a really great way to do it. Is like buy the comic, because maybe we won't get the show on television, but if it does well enough, maybe they'll do a comic book series about it.
Yeah, like a season 8. I mean, they did it for some other shows. They did it for Smallville, Legends of Korra, Buffy and Angel. I think both had season X comic books.
Yeah.
You know, that's a really good point, is that I actually am looking at them. I have every single one of the Avatar Legends of Korra follow-up comics.
Yeah,
and they're excellent.
They sell very well at Dark Horse too. Like they
really?
That's their bread and butter. Yeah, they really do well there.
Like I have the beautiful library editions.
Ooh.
Like they're stunning books. And I mean, it's a massive book and it's beautiful. I think if that was the quality that we could get, like, man, Legends would be great for that. Even if it's not the whole character, even if it's just Sarah and Ava actually shopping at IKEA for baby furniture, I'd read it.
It's funny because we have a Harley Quinn animated show comic they just did. They did Batman 89 comic. They did Superman, the 70s Superman. They have a comic now.
Yeah.
So it's like DC is definitely doing it more.
And with this new, the books tying into the Arrowverse, which is a weird timing for this, but like, yeah, I mean, I could see it. I don't know that I would love to get another season of Legends or a movie or something, but I would take a comic book for sure.
Yeah.
I would take a comic continuation, like a season 8 comic book, or even a limited run. I think the fans would buy it for 100%.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely buy the comics, guys. Comes out
that's a great
next week.
Advice.
Next week, yeah. I think that's a great way to show support to the creative team, because the writers for the show, some of the writers wrote the comic. So, even if it doesn't go anywhere, it's a great way to say, like, thanks for Legends of Tomorrow. And it would definitely show a big show of support if they saw the numbers going up for the Legends book.
Yeah.
It's easier to get a lot of sales, not easier, but it's easier to get sales for a comic book and comics be like, oh, this is making enough money for us to make money than a TV show, because that's so much more money and so many more people have to watch it. For a comic, you just get a couple more thousand, be like, oh, cool. This is giving us good enough numbers that maybe we can make another one.
Yeah. And I see in the comments that, do you know where we can buy it from?
Comixology, if you want to get digitally, that still goes on for sales for digital books. Please don't torrent the book. So please, for people who do want to read the book, don't read it on those websites because they will not get the money for that. So Comixology, if you read digitally, physically, honestly, going to your comic book store is the best option to get it physically. Midtown Comics is another place. So if you want to get a physical book and you don't have a store near you, Midtown Comics, they deliver physical comics. And
I think I read mine on the Kindle, but that's through Comixology, correct?
Yeah, Comixology. Yeah, Amazon now owns. Well, they already did own it.
Comixology, but
they owned it for a couple of years. Now they're like, let's actually put it in the Kindle verse, we'll call it, and they've done some interesting.
And it's
stuff.
actually it's really snazzy on the Kindle. Like all of the Comixology stuff, you can zoom in on a particular panel. It's actually it plays really well on an electronic device. So that's
you can do a panel panel to panel view too.
Really
Instead
cool.
of seeing the whole page, it can like zoom in and go panel by panel.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that like if you have like an iPad or a phone, it's a little bit better. The experience is a little bit better than on a computer. Because every time I record Supergirl Radio and we're talking about Supergirl, like Woman of Tomorrow, and I pull it up on my like browser, I'm like, oh, is this what it looks like on the computer? Because I always read it on my tablet, which is like great because it's comic book size. But
digitally, I do recommend tablets more. I like reading physical books a lot more than reading digital books. But
me too.
Yeah, definitely go support it. With your store, I think it's a little too late. They call it FOC days, which means like final cut order. I think it's late for Legends, but that doesn't mean still ask your store. Maybe just like save you a copy. That way you get a copy if you if you have a comic book store near you.
Yeah. And I think that's a good place to kind of start wrapping us up before we get overly emotional again. I think one of the hard things, too, is that the three of us have met writers and creators and cast.
Talk to
from
the actors,
show.
too, yeah.
Talk to the
Oh,
actors.
yeah.
We've interviewed them. And it's hard to know that this show means so much to them and that they also are not only saying goodbye to a show that they love, but to a certain extent, a level of livelihood, which is also, that's
Yes.
so insane to me. And to say, I think I'm going to have a job next season. And then all of a sudden, there it goes. So reach out to your favorite writers on Twitter. Reach out to your favorite crew members.
Say something
reach out
nice.
to the cast.
Yeah.
Something nice.
Tell them your favorite episode. Tell them why you loved the way that this episode was edited. Tell them why you thought this episode is really well paced. Say something specific. Don't just say, we love you. I mean, you can say we love you, but share something meaningful. Why Legends means so much to you. We've talked about it extensively on this episode, why it means so much to us. We have tweeted about it. And we've got time to process it, but tell thank you to the cast and the crew because they created this show and made it mean so much to all of us. So tell them something specific. Share with them why Legends means so much to you and give them a little bit of a virtual hug for all that they've done for us.
That's great advice. I mean, I think you could see if you're on Twitter or social media how hard that the cast and the crew and the writers and everybody was working for that hashtag renew Legends of Tomorrow. It's rare to see like the entire like cast and writers and crew of a show stump that hard for renewal for that show, for their show. And so, like, you could tell that they're passionate about the show, that they love the show, because, like, believe me, like, checked out people don't do that.
Yeah, no, for sure. They obviously very much care about the show. But yeah, like we said, we'll continue being on this podcast. And please tweet us and email us again what you would like to see with the podcast, because we are definitely starting a new chapter and we want to make it the best we can. We want to grow this podcast too. So that's something we'll definitely be thinking about.
If you have any I know that out of context shows, let us know, because I love this idea.
I love it. It's so funny because we've batted around ideas for like when Legends ends, like maybe we'll do this and maybe we'll do that. And every time, like, this we talked about it, a couple months ago probably, and we were all like, well, we've got probably like a year before we have to figure this out. And as you know, we're not good at planning. So if you want to just email
let us know.
Let us know.
Yeah,
we need the help for sure.
And you know what? I haven't asked the girls about this, but if you guys want to like email us or send us why Legends means so much to you, I think we can read some of that on a podcast. I think that'd be really fun.
Well, Abby actually asked, do you think you'll do a final feedback, what does Legends mean to you episode? So
look at that. Literally. Abby, I did not read your comment before I made that suggestion. You are
this episode was definitely our gut reaction to the cancellation. I think we will try to do an episode that is more, oh my God, we might plan the episode and like make it something. Who knows, right? We might actually have a document for it. But yeah, do something about the show, obviously. We don't want this to be our final stamp on it. I think there's a lot more to say about the ending and reactions and all that.
Yeah. So
and Ryla asks, when do we go live? So usually this is actually special. We usually don't do this live. But if you enjoy our live show, we have a Patreon. So you do get the live link on our Patreon anytime we go live. But with the hiatus schedule, what we usually do, and I'm guessing we might keep the schedule at least for a while, is that we do 2 episodes a month. So one week we'll do an episode for the podcast. The next week after that, we do a Patreon episode. So just for the Patreon people. And then the episode after that will be for the podcast. And then the episode after that is the Patreon, vice versa. So that way you're always getting content if you're a Patreon member. If you're not, then you at least get 2 episodes a month for the podcast.
And and you can find planned.
We do, yeah. And you can find the podcast wherever podcasts are, iTunes, Spotify, whatever Google's one is now. I don't know. They keep changing.
You can
the name.
ask your, and I can't say it because she's over there, but you can ask your Alexa device. She always tries to answer me. It's really cool. You can say, Helena, play the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. I almost thought she was going to pick it up because they listen for syllables. That's why,
Really?
I learned that's why they chose the name Alexa. Because the way, like, think about, like, okay, so Kat and Morgan, both of you guys say that name. Say Alexa.
Alexa. There's 3 syllables.
Shut
3,
up. I'm
whatever.
not talking to you. My Alexa's talking to me. No matter what, you guys will go Alexa, and the le is a higher pitch. And so they chose that word specifically because of the differences in the pitches and the syllables. So even
Too
if it's a
smart for
little
me.
girl going Alexa, literally just responded.
Oh my God, that's so cute. I never knew that. That's
talking to
really
me.
interesting.
Isn't that really interesting though? But that's why they chose that name. Yes, so sorry to all the Amazon devices I just started in the comments.
Oh no. We do have a comment from Aurora. Kat, I like the that you think you'll plan, but really we all know you'll do what you can, and we appreciate that for you guys. Yeah, no, we're not great at the planning, and we probably won't.
no.
But we can say we will.
We're like the legends in that way.
Yes.
True story. You guys can still tweet us. Our Twitter is going to stay active. Our email is going to stay active. thelegendspodcast@gmail.com. Even if we read every single email, like we soak it in. We love these emails. We message each other about, oh my God, did you guys get the last email? Like we love stuff like that. So please email us, DM us, tweet us. We love all of that. Even if we don't necessarily respond, we probably will more now these days because we don't have as many episodes to share about. I don't know. Let us know, what did you want to see in season 8? What was your favorite episode? Who's your series MVP? That's really hard to say. I almost said season.
Oh my God.
And I had to adjust that to series.
Oh no.
What's your favorite time period? What was your favorite costumes? What was your favorite, I don't know, beheading? Because there were a couple, I think.
Just a couple, yeah.
So, share your love of the show, and I think we can definitely do a episode sharing everybody's thoughts.
I am sure. We are going to head off, though we can actually figure out what we're going to do.
We're going to
the
go
rest of this
plan.
podcast. But we are very happy that
Strategy.
you guys are able to join us. I think you opened, Amy, so you could close us.
Yeah, so thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you to all of our legendary listeners for being part of our found family. Thank you for coming on, being part of our podcast. I don't want to say it because it's going to break my heart.
Guys, don't worry. Amy's trying to say, and also back Kat's Kickstarter. There's only 5 days left.
Slice of life.
Okay, yeah, let's go around the table. What do you guys have going on? Kat, what do you have going on? Oh my God, that's so
I
good.
can't imagine. That was so good.
Do you have a Kickstarter or something?
What, Kat? A Kickstarter, not you.
I put in the description below, guys. You could check it out. If you missed Legends of Tomorrow, you should go check out Slice of Life. It's all about friendship. It's about love. It's gay. There's even a main character that's blonde. I heard from a birdie that Sarah Lance might even appear in the show.
You know, Kat, the more you say it, the more you're going to eventually have to put Sarah Lance in the background of a panel.
We'll have to see what we can do. But go check it out. Could it be another Kickstarter? We got 5 days left. You like gay stuff? Go check it out. It's about an anime character that comes to life and falls in love with a high school cheerleader. So,
really
and we got another Kickstarter coming up a week after that.
Kat's
So
always
look
got a
forward.
Kickstarter going, so if you follow her on Twitter, you'll always know what her Kickstarters are.
She's going to start the Legends of Tomorrow Season 8 Kickstarter. Just watch.
We're just gonna kickstart this next.
It's going to make our
last
own. It's going to be
season.
fan. I don't know. Who do you
I
guys
got
want to
sued.
play? We could just play the characters. We're going to play them all. I'll play Nate in the totem.
We just
He's
do,
just
like,
a
a live
disembodied
reading.
voice. Yeah, oh my God. A staged reading of Legends of Tomorrow,
Stage
the
reading
movie.
of Legends of Tomorrow. I think it's going to be
man.
great, and everyone's going to really love it. You can find me on Twitter at Mojotastic, and also as a co-host on Supergirl Radio. I'm so sad about Legends.
I'm so sad.
I'm just gonna be crying over on Twitter, and I already ate a nice soft serve ice cream, so I've eaten my feelings. So
I had my chips already. So
step one
Mine's
is
in the
in the
freezer.
processing. Nice, good.
Yep. I literally was at the gelato place, when we got the news.
one.
I was in public and trying not to cry. Mostly
Oh
I just
my
my
God.
jaw dropped to the ground. I'm like, no.
A lot of people just found this podcast. Thank you guys.
Amazing.
Jenny Marie also just found this podcast.
Stay around
You
a while.
enjoy. We recommend the Drunk Sarah episodes, the queer representation episode, and then watch the episode associated with your favorite episode of
And
Legends.
please, guys, I'm begging you, please listen to the Sopranos episode. We're still trying to get listens on it.
Cool.
You guys can find me on Instagram, amy.hypnoroski. The last name's a whomper, but if you start typing amy.hyp, you'll find me. I'm also the new volunteer coordinator for Global Conservation Force, which is a wildlife protection and conservation organization focused on rhino, elephant, pangolin, giraffe, and painted dog conservation, as well as ending poaching for said animals in Africa. So if you guys are interested in getting involved or you want to learn more, you can go to globalconservationforce.org. And I think that's going to wrap us up. Again, you can find our podcast anywhere podcasts can be found. Like, share, subscribe. You can email
Check
us.
out Supergirl Radio for Morgan. If
Check
you
out
want
Supergirl
content.
Radio. You can find us, the Legends Podcast, at gmail.com. You can email us, email us at that one. Tweet us at legends_podcast. We have an Instagram. We might have to start using it now.
Oh my God, we're gonna have to break open that Instagram.
Should we tell them about the Instagram? There's zero anything posted on it.
I think that we already did.
I mean, I think you've teased it, so we might as well. Let's see if one person follows us after this.
I think it's literally just the Legendary Ladies. I'm gonna triple check before yeah, it's the Legendary Ladies.
Okay.
We have 53 followers apparently.
How?
But I'm only following 2 people through it. So which one of you guys is... Oh, I didn't follow myself. So you guys are both followed.
Who are you not following?
Me. Yeah, so we have an Instagram. So please enjoy our currently very empty Instagram. That's going to wrap us up. Thank you all for coming to our wake and our grief session. We hope that we have left you with a little bit of smiles and a lot of really good memories. Again, reach out to your favorite or everybody who are part of the cast and crew of Legends of Tomorrow. Say thank you. Share your favorite memories. Share your favorite memories with us. Share your favorite memories with a fan. Reach out to your friends who were deeply invested in the show. Check on them. See how they're doing. And same with Batwoman. And we hope and know that we will all see you again. So, not for the last time. Thanks for listening and stay legendary.